Hey fellas, so I'd say a little bit ago I just got back from Marvel's Eternals, the latest film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, directed by Chloe Zhao of Nomadland, which stars, among other actors, Gemma Chan, Brian Tyree Henry, Angelina Jolie, and Kit Harington, to name a few, which concerns an ancient team of superpowered individuals known as Eternals, those who have been assigned to combat at another ancient race known as the Deviants, but otherwise forbidden from interfering in human conflicts. And even as someone who did read some of these comics, I knew that this was going to be a very tricky sort of adapt a film, and given how it's actually surpassed Thor: The Dark World as Marvel's most divisive film to date, it's it definitely is not without its detractors. I'll admit that. And even though it may not be my favorite, I still liked it. Don't get me wrong. And it's not my. I mean, it's not my favorite one of the space so far. It's not. I mean, I personally enjoy Black Widow and even Shang-Chi more. I'm going to spoil the review of that once it drops into Disney Plus. But I definitely am at least is liking the experiment. I also know next season What If isn't going to be for a while, but basically that's the question: what if if the Marvel Cinematic Universe was wanted to make a film for the Snyderverse instead? So, and now, I mean, I wasn't sure what to make when I saw that trend, but now I understand, and now I totally get that Snyder's a Blueprint trend I saw on my feed the other night. So, yeah. And I'm definitely not gonna get too spoilery, in this review. I mean, depending on when this comes in Disney Plus, I think if it goes by the usual 45-day waiting period, that's gonna be putting it in December the earliest. I mean, is where here. I mean, even though it's not explicit, at least they're going to be connecting to how they're going to bring in like the X Men, the Fantastic Four, or even so Silver Surfer Galactus. I mean, I would presume that given how other celestial beings are in this movie, perhaps they're connected. I mean, including another individual who's in the Stinger, the first one at least. I mean, again, there's really a lot to unpack here, and I totally understand why they took the approach they did. I mean, and like the whole using both like the past timelines and the present day timeline. I mean, they're still operating hitting under the whole 5 year time skip after the events of the Endgame. And given what's transpired as we get closer to that time and that setting, it's admittedly not a stretch anymore. Like there was something near the beginning of the film in London, in where it said we need help readjusting. We can help as like one of the big screens on Trafalgar Square. Here I mean near the underground. And so, and I will say that at the boat, I mean, at least looks quite pretty. I mean, I mean, definitely the fight scenes, a lot of energy going on there. Here, I mean, definitely is making a good impression of his characters. I mean, even though I'm not the most familiar with the DP, some editors and production designer in this film, um, I think the work they've done here definitely makes everything look pretty believable. They have all these massive spacecraft, which somehow not only look like they could have belonged to an ancient race, but also one that's far advanced from a civilization who has quite literally a just invented the wheel. Since and all these deviants and also admittedly look pretty nasty. I say this not to be insulting, but to be accurate, As how all of them had these tendrils, all of them tried to basically suck the life force out of other beings, and I guess given even with the scores being a bit lower than anticipated, I like this year alone. I've been there for opening day on movies that got lower press. I also enjoyed like the way the Mortal Kombat reboot as well as a Space Jam sequel. All things considered. So, and given how the box office numbers are still tracking quite positively, he he I'd say we can also add critic proofing to the superpowers we've got here at the very least. Okay, so $71 million opening, which is another solid amount of cash given the circumstances, and like $100 million domestic one is definitely pretty easy. Take from that, but I'll say this: as after 13 years and more than 20 films, to have that be your first one to get that kind of reception is admittedly not bad. For frame reference, and and I think there were a lot fewer films before Cars 2 ended up being in that for Pixar. And it's definitely an interesting time for the series that keep experimenting. Like we've had in this year alone, one that played like an espionage film, one that played more like a martial arts fantasy epic, and now we have this very experimental whole film which about how these kind of immortal beings, which is not but it's ambitious. I do have to admire for that, at least. I'll definitely be addressing more in my spoiler review, because you know me, I tend to be pretty consistent with my opinions over time. I can often hold the same ones for years without changing them, if at all. So, my final rating for now for upcoming attractions is 3 stars out of 4. So, let's get to it. Okay, so then once again, gonna be going with release order, just to keep things simpler. So, Ghostbusters Afterlife, which will be November 19th. It's gonna be the same day Pokemon Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl coming out, so it's not gonna be opening night, but opening weekend definitely gonna be feasible. And even as someone who still thinks in hindsight overreacted to the last movie they had, I'm not obviously I wouldn't put it in the same pedestal as the original, but much like the second one from '89, something what I would call a contested sequel, and this one is gonna be gonna be more of the direct sequel to the first couple where I also really like how they're paying tribute to Harold Ramis in as with his passing. So yeah, and be that as it may, hey, I definitely still think it is kind of dark the way that I actually am seeing. Early reception from some of the early screens, convention appearances have been highly positive. And it turns out that had Jason Reitman, who normally directed a more offbeat comedy such as You Don't Thank You for Smoking, is more than capable of living up to his father's legacy of doing more fiction of an event there. Yeah, and even though I did not care for Monster House or Gil Keenan's remake of Poltergeist, I will not hold that against him with him co-writing in the script, so I think it should be fun. All things considered, yeah. Okay, November 24th, Encanto, a new Disney animated film, where everyone lives a house of magic, and it's clear that music is going to be playing a big part in that, so and also really liking what they're going to be doing with the culture material there. Though I think it's going to be another one due to time and money constraints, and so I have to wait for it to come on Disney Plus. But that's going to be for like other films that come in there as well. Like it's coming at the same time as like the Resident Evil reboot, and that one also looks like it's going to be more faithful to the games finally, which it's especially in how it's going to be handling both the incidents of the mansion in the first game as well as like the whole like the lockdown of the police station in the second, where it's going to be. I mean, some real concerned about that, but again, given the movie I just got back from, it's the reason why if you're making like a movie about a superhero, you don't adapt every single comic like that's ever been published about them. You pick ones that work for best for story you want to tell and adapt those. I mean, heck, my favorite film, The Dark Knight, was influenced by three major stories. Dark Knight Returns, obviously, but also The Killing Joke and Long Halloween, which all managed to share the plot exception of the respective characters. They focused on both Bats himself, the Joker, as well as Two-Face. So, and sorry for getting off track there, but I only got one preview to take care of now. And Sing 2, December 22nd, as I mentioned before, it does not really concern me. Like, I did not care for the first film. I think I went to go see Rogue One when it was out there, so. Oh. So apparently, as Daz pointed out, it's got some kind of American Idol X Factor thing going on there this time around. So. And even though the second one, the first one never hit number one, it still made money. I'm still trying to wrap my head around how it outgrossed Moana worldwide. But still, mostly going to be seen in the Matrix Resurrections. Them, so I'm gonna be viewing the sequels. Like, I don't know about Bells, but I probably will be there at least. Like with a shirt which has LeBron and Speedy Gonzalez entering the Matrix on it. So the King's Man, and still interested in that as well. I mean, it's gonna depend on when I can get my booster, and whatever happens with this movie that I just saw, at the very least, I know it's actually still gonna be less frightening than Clifford. I mean, seriously, that design should have been nixed because I think I may have found the dog that was off screen in the Cats movie, guys, and it's unintentionally horrifying. That'll be all for now. I will see you tomorrow with my belated Pokemon Single Legends vlog, the next episode I was looking at. So, take care, everyone.